So how exactly are we going to start tracing over images? First, we need to find an image to trace. So here's a photo of a sneaker. So let's say I need an illustrated graphic of a sneaker. I can't use the photo. I need to recreate this. I'm going to start to trace over it. So I'm going to open up my JPEG into Illustrator. Once I have it selected, I'm going to lock it down. I'm going to do that by hitting Control 2, or I could go to Object Lock Selection, but it's always easier to do Control 2. Now that image is locked down, you see I cannot select it. It will not move around the page, and this is good so that we can trace over it without having anything shifting underneath us. When you first look at an image, you're going to kind of visually break it down into layers or objects. And I don't mean layers the way we think of them in Photoshop. I mean, think of them in how they would be constructed in terms of what panels or shapes are on top of other ones. So when I look at this sneaker, the bottom color is like this light pink, and it's basically the entire base of the shoe. So I'm going to use my pen tool. I'm going to turn my stroke into something really bright so that I can see it. And I'm going to take my pen tool and I'm going to start to trace around that shape. So again, I'm doing this kind of quickly just because I want to show you, but you are going to spend a lot more time making your pen strokes look good. Now this dark pink part, I see the pink comes here, and then there's this dark pink. So if the light pink is underneath, it doesn't matter what this line looks like. So I'm going to connect it right up to here and back down to here. So you always have to connect your points to have a path, to have a full shape. So here's my first shape, which will be the light pink. Now I'm going to look at what's on top of the light pink. It's going to be this kind of darker pink. So again, if I want, I can change my color, if that will help me remember what's what, or I can trace everything in the same color. So this little pink panel here is going to be on top of that one. Again, remember to close all your shapes. So wherever you start, you have to come back and close it off. And this is going to be my second piece. When we're dealing with product design, we're actually looking at how the product is constructed. Like this dark pink piece is actually a second piece of fabric that's sewn on top of the light pink. And even like the laces would be their own shape going over this shape. So you really want to visually break down what is on top of what. So for instance, here's the light pink piece, and I'll make it a light pink. And then here is the dark pink pieces that we created, and I'll make those a dark pink for you to see. And then this was the lace that we put on top. So you can start to see how this thing would start to come out. Now the white toe cap is another piece, separate piece, that would have to be traced out. You can see I already traced out the bottom here, and again these lines can just be black strokes. And you can start to see this come together. You also want to put a black stroke on your thing sometimes because it just looks better. And you'll see this image start to occur. So here, if I scroll over, is the image with me having everything traced out. I have everything in here, you know, the white, the black, the pink, everything except my grommets, which I didn't get to yet. If you want to do grommets, you're going to create a circle shape. You're going to fill that with a gradient. So we're going to go to Window, Swatch Libraries, Gradients, Metals. It's going to pop open. We're going to choose one of like the radial steel kind of gradients. Again, we're going to put a black stroke on that. And then we're going to copy and paste. And with our black arrow, we're going to make a smaller version. Kind of make like a smaller thing there for the inside. and then we're going to select both the outer and the inner circle, and we're going to hit Control 8, and that's going to pop out that center. So now we've made an actual grommet for the sneaker. If you wanted it to be lighter or darker, you could adjust that gradient using your plus arrow, clicking just on the outside one, coming over here to your gradient tool, and then deciding which way you want that gradient to go, lighter or darker. Then we would just copy and paste. Now these laces are going to be on top, so we're not going to see the entire grommet. So if I were to flip them over here, I would have to do Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And then you get more of the effect of how it looks in real life. When you're done with all that, once you have everything outlined, it's all in strokes, then you're going to start to fill in. Here's an example of my line drawing. When you fill in, you'll have something that looks like this. And this is the filled in version. So each piece of this is a separate drawing, if you can see. Each little section. And it's just deciding which one goes where. Like this one goes towards the back. So we'd go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. To do the dashed lines, you're going to select whatever lines are supposed to be dashed. Let's say it looks like these two. And then you're going to go up to the stroke menu. You're going to click on dashed line. You're going to change this to maybe 2, maybe 3. You're going to have to kind of play around with it and see which one looks better. So this is a 2-point dash, which looks kind of good. You might need bigger or smaller. And you'd want to kind of figure out which lines need to be dashed and which lines don't. Once you have one finished drawing done, put this back into place. There'll be a lot of moving things to the front, to the back to decide what looks good where. Once you have a piece designed like this, it's very easy to just copy and paste and change the colors. You know, you're just copying production CAD, something you would use to sell the product. So although, you know, the photo of the product is what is actually coming in, this is actually what the customer would buy it off of, because they're buying something that hasn't been made yet, and where we would be creating it from an image like this. So that's basically how to trace. It's the same thing whether you're doing a human face, whether you're doing an object, whether you're doing a product. The tracing with the pen tool is the same no matter what.